Hello, tropical fish keepers. Welcome to the very first episode of Aqua Alex Live here in 2022. I'm kicking off the new year in style with a very special guest. I'm very excited for today's episode. Today I'm going to be interviewing the owner of Tangled Up In Cichlids.com, which is an online tropical fish store that specializes in South and Central American cichlids, African cichlids, characins, barbs, and so much more. So this is going to be a really fun interview. We're going to learn a lot about Kevin, who is the new owner of Tangled Up In Cichlids.com, and I hope you guys enjoy today's episode. So before I bring on our big guest to kick off the new year, I would like to announce that Kevin and I, Aqua Alex Cardinale, are going to be doing a promotion for all the fish keepers that watch today's video and everyone that is subscribed to my YouTube channel. So starting today from Monday, January 3rd, which is today, all the way until next Monday, which is January 10th, 2022, you can get 10% off your entire order. So go to tangledupincichlids.com and look at the stock list. And then when you choose the fish you want, send an email to sales@gmail.com and use the code AlexLive as the subject of your email to get the 10% discount. And I'll explain more about that later on in the show. So now, please give a big welcome to my very first guest of 2022, the owner and operator of Tangled Up In Cichlids, Kevin Cumberton. Kevin, how are you doing today, sir? Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, Alex. Happy New Year. How are you?
Happy New Year. I'm great. How are you doing today, sir? Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
No problem at all.
I know you're a very busy man, so when you agreed to come on my show, I was really happy.
You asked plenty of time in advance, so we made it work. It's good.
That's awesome. So for all the fish keepers that are watching this live stream or this video, if you have any questions you would like to ask Kevin, post them in the comments below, and I'll make sure that we get them answered. So make sure you guys take advantage of that 10% off. He's got a lot of great fish in stock, like the Bumblebee Oscars and even the NGT Datnoids.
Oh, yeah. Can't find those Oscars anywhere else right now, so you want them, we have them.
That's very true. So I think we'll start off by talking about how you got into the aquarium hobby, and then we'll get right into Tangled Up In Cichlids, if that's cool with you.
That's fine.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'll start off with the question, how did you get into the aquarium hobby?
I was kind of born into it. As far back as I can remember, as a toddler even, my parents had aquariums, so I kind of grew up around having them. I vividly remember my parents having like red belly piranhas and pink kissing, all kinds of stuff. But the fish that got me hooked, they had a red devil, which I don't know which one it was at the time because we're talking like 1982. So I don't know if it was the labiatus or the citronellum. I don't know, but it was a red devil, and I kind of got hooked on it from there. And I was maybe 6 or 7 then, and by the time I was 8, I had gotten my first aquarium for Christmas, and that was it. Took off from there, and I haven't been without ever since. So,
Oh, that's pretty cool. I was born in the aquarium hobby too because my dad was keeping fish before I was born.
yeah, kind of when you're born into, you kind of stick with it a little bit. It's very rare to have someone that's been around them forever not at least have at least one tank in their home as they get older. At least
That's
from what I
very
know.
true.
Yep.
So, what are some of your favorite fish species?
Well, the guy behind me, him, that's our shop pet. He's about 12 years old. He's a wild male, citronelle from Lake Nicaragua. He's actually the grandfather to the juveniles that I offer on my stock list. So if you want to know what they look like, they'll look like that eventually. My home aquarium, oddly enough, my home aquarium has a couple hundred cardinal tetras, a bunch of different dwarf-sized plecos, some Cory cats. I forget which ones off the top of my head. And the only two rams, a male and a female wild ram from Colombia, and two wild Altum angelfish. That's it. So it's mostly loaded up. Oh, and about 100 emperor tetras as well. So it's a peaceful tank. That's my tank. And then we have another tank that my wife has a pet fish in, and it's a hetero tilapia buttercoffri. It's a pair, and those are her babies. Those are our pets. So, but that's it at home because here I have, everything I want. So.
Very nice. The Altum angels are a pretty cool fish. I've always wanted to get some Altums, but I've been intimidated by them.
They're not that hard to keep. A lot of people are intimidated by them. The population that I bring in most often is actually from Clearwater River. So they're a little more tolerant of higher pH, a little bit more TDS in the water, so a little bit harder water they can handle. They don't need that pH of 6 and no hardness. They do all right. They do fine here, and they do fine in my house. They're going to be fine anywhere.
That's good to know. So when my 75-gallon becomes clear, I'll consider keeping Altum angels.
Yeah, those are cool fish.
I'm surprised you didn't say that you had a wild discus in your tank with cardinals.
No. No, I don't do discus. No, I've had them once or twice on the stock list. Jeff before me always had them, but I don't mess around with them. Where I am in northwestern Jersey, the water is very hard here. So for me to keep discus, it takes a lot of work to keep them. There's a couple different species of fish that I have a difficult time keeping here. Discus would be one of them. So I don't even bother with them. So, and everyone always wants the hybrid weird colored ones, and I don't get them. So I only bring in the wild stuff. So that's I don't know if you'll ever see them on my list. Maybe in another couple of years, but not right now.
Yeah, discus can be a little bit finicky and a little bit sensitive. But I like the wild variants better.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, mostly everything here is wild type. Not everything is wild, but a lot of stuff, everything's wild type. Not too many hybrids in here. I have a hemochromous in here that I think is a hybrid or it's a man-made line-bred species. The species turquoise that I have on the list. I think that's the only one though that's not a wild type fish.
So which do you prefer, the wild fish or the captive raised ones?
Either one. There's that whole F1, F2, F3. If it's further than that, it's the colors fade. I don't necessarily find that to be true. People are buying fish from fish stores, your local hobby, your local fish store that are getting stuff farm bred. And those farm bred fish are, 10, 11 generations old, and they're still just as colorful. I lean more towards the wild stuff because I know they're pure. I know they're the real thing. But there's nothing wrong with captive bred stuff.
I agree. I prefer the wild caught fish as well.
Yeah, definitely.
What are your thoughts about hybrids like flowerhorns and blood parrots?
I don't mind them. They're cool fish. I've never gotten into them. I get emailed daily. So I wake up to a couple hundred emails every single day. And there's at least a dozen emails every day about flowerhorns. And they use the crazy names. I don't know any of the names of them, I don't know much about them, so I don't mess with them. There's some specialty stores that really specialize in them, so I kind of leave that to them. I have a local guy who has has an online presence as well, and but he has a retail store and he specializes in all that oddball stuff like that. So I let him deal with that. I'm not going to mess with them.
Yeah, I'd like to tell people that ask me about flowerhorns, I refer them to like Trimax and the Amphilophus species because they're more natural and you'll find them in our natural rivers.
Right, and they're one of the main sources of the flowerhorn. So I love when I get the question, what kind of flowerhorn do you think this is? And my answer always is, it's a flowerhorn. I don't know. It's a hybrid of who knows what. There's no way, they have specific, I guess, hobby names, depending on colors and patterns, I guess, how they grade them. But yeah, to ask what kind it is, I don't know. It's a hybrid of a whole bunch of stuff. I don't know. I don't think anybody's really going to know.
That's probably true. The problem with hybrids is they usually have shortened lives because their bodies are so compromised.
Yeah, the further along they're bred, they tend to have issues. And I don't know if it's true or not, but from what I understand on flowerhorns, and I know I'm going to get a ton of flowerhorn hate mail now, but but from what I understand is that a couple generations in, they don't even look like the parents anymore. So they start looking like all the mixed species of fish that are in there. So that's not cool either. If you're getting a wild fish and you breed it a couple generations and you're not mixing with anything, they're always going to look the same.
That's very cool. So what is your recommendation to beginners that enter the aquarium hobby? Because there's always a lot of people that are entering this hobby, and I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge growing. The hobby's still growing after it's been in. I don't even know how many years it's been going. 100 years at least, I would say, and it's still growing year to year. We were super busy last year despite COVID, or maybe it was because of COVID, but we were super busy last year. But for people getting into the hobby, slow and steady. Everyone wants to jump right in, get the biggest fish they can get or the most fish they can get, and they have problems. It goes without saying, always do your research, look for different vendors online or check your local fish store, and learn as much as you can about the fish you want and the water type you may have at home, because that can make a difference on what you can actually keep successfully.
That's very good advice. I really agree with that. So I know you specialize in cichlids, and I know there's a lot of cichlid enthusiasts that are watching today's video. And when it comes to cichlids, there's a lot of aggression, and cichlids are one of the fish that it can be picky to have tank mates with. So what is your advice to people keeping cichlids in terms of having tank mates and stopping aggression?
That's a good question. There's so many variables. And like I got this guy behind me over here somewhere. I can't put anything in the tank with him. He's in a 180-gallon tank right here. And instantly, if I put something in there, it's fish food. Even if it's remotely close to his size, he just kills it. So that's a tough one. That's a tough one to address. Every fish has their own personality. You could be in a room with a bunch of people, and there's always that one guy that's a jerk causing trouble, and everyone can't wait to kick him out. So, but majority, the rule of thumb is line of sight. Try to break up line of sight. So you want plants, driftwood, rock work, places for fish to retreat. They start getting picked on. You don't necessarily have to pick fish that are, from the same region. I have customers that have fish in their tanks from every continent that has fish. So that works out fine too. Some people like to overcrowd them. I'm not a big fan of that. It leads to too many problems, and a tank can crash super fast by doing that. Obviously, there's guys that, I have a customer who has a 600-gallon tank, and I think he's got a sump that I think is 300 gallons, and plus all the other filters on. So he could have a pretty big load of fish. But find fish that generally are known to be compatible. Like if you're getting an Oscar, don't get something like a corridor, a catfish that it's going to try and swallow and eat. Try to find stuff that's compatible with them. And the best way to do that is email me or any other vendor. Really, it doesn't have to be me, and ask questions. Always ask questions on what they think will work. almost anything will work. And there's some rules to it. Like you mentioned the trimac before. I wouldn't try putting a goldfish with a trimac or a betta fish with a trimac, you know. But there's other stuff you could probably try to do, you know.
Very well said. I definitely agree with you on that.
I have a tank in here that I can't really show you because it's in the main room, but it has black belt cichlids. It has a couple African cichlids. It's got some catfish, some plecos, and they all do fine. So, but it's a big tank. It's on continuous water cycle, so that seems to be working.
Believe it or not, in the past I've had Jack Dempsey's and firemouth with Peruvian angelfish.
Caribbean angelfish.
Peruvian.
Oh, Peruvian. Oh, gotcha.
The Rio Nene ones.
Yeah. The spotted ones. Yep. Yeah, firemouths and Jack Dempsey's, they're found in the same habitat, so they typically will get along. Once they start spawning, that could be a different issue, but for the most part, they get along. I keep them mixed here as well. Jack Dempsey's and firemouths, I keep mixed. They're always, pretty good to mix. Nicaraguan cichlids, I mix them with them. They do fine.
So do you prefer South American cichlids or Central?
I am actually, and I always was, which is how I got to know Jeff Rapps. I was a Central American guy. Jeff was a South American guy, and the predominant species I import and sell is South American. And they're growing on me. They're, I could ID almost all of them now at this point. And the Central Americans are always my favorite. And they're still a good selling fish. All the ones I have on my list, I am constantly rebringing in for inventory because they sell well. So
That's awesome.
I like them better. But I'm slowly getting into South America. A lot of the South Americans are they're very calm. They're a little more chilled out, minus like a Feste or like, the Red Terrors and stuff like that. They're a little more aggressive, but for the most part, they're all pretty mild. And you can mix a lot of them together. So they're growing on me a lot. I'm supposed to say they're my favorite. I'm supposed to say they're my favorite because of what we sell here, but they're not.
I do like the Central Americans too, like the Viajas and the Jack Dempseys, but I'm more of a South American cichlid guy. I like the Hero Severums, the Waru, chocolate cichlids. They're nice and mellow, and you can have a lot of tank mates with them.
Yep. That's another one. You can mix all of them with even Oscars. You can mix in there. They will mix well together. Usually.
I think the only South Americans I haven't kept is the Feste and the True Parrot cichlid.
You got to get them. Those are good fish.
I know. The only time I see them around here is when they're dime size.
Yeah, they're tough to get. The Hoplarchus, the parrot cichlid, I had them back in 2020 regularly, and then 2021 I haven't been able to get any in. When they've offered them or been able to collect them, they've been small or they didn't have enough. For me to bring them in here, I need a bunch of them. They don't send me 10 fish from Colombia or Brazil.
Yeah, that sucks. You got to buy like 100 of them or so.
Yeah. Yep.
The Fast Days I've always been interested in, but I wasn't sure if they'll do okay with my chocolates and my Severums.
They might. In a big tank, it'll probably work, but in a 75-gallon tank, I would probably keep it by itself. It's a slow-growing fish too, so they can get outgrown by something like a chocolate cichlid or an Oscar. They can outgrow it pretty quickly.
That's good. So we have a question from one of our viewers. Joel is saying a great show. He wants to know, what's the hardest part of owning a fish store?
Oh boy. So, well, one, we're not actually a fish store, so we're not a retail store. A lot of people think that we have like a brick and mortar building. It's just a private, it's a steel building. It's 2,000 square foot, and we're not open to the public. I'm in a private. It's a private facility. So dealing with customers in person, I don't have to deal with that problem. So that's a huge thing I don't have to deal with. But I guess the hardest part is keeping up with the emails and keeping up on the maintenance, because like I said a little while earlier, I wake up and I have 100 emails, And some of them are legit emails. They're placing an order. Some of them are just, tire kickers. And some are asking for Flowerhorns. So I have to sort through all them and answer them and get back to them in a timely manner. And on a day like today, where in a couple hours, I'm expecting, almost 25 jumbo-sized boxes from South America to come in. They're going to land in a couple hours. I had a 1,500-gallon area of the shop that I had to have ready today. So I didn't get to answer any emails today because that's what I'm doing. So I'll get hate mail because, hey, I emailed you 3 hours ago. You didn't get back to me. So the hardest part is actually keeping up with the customers, trying to keep that relationship. I try to be very hands-on. When you email me. I'm the one that you're dealing with. I'm the one that's ordering the fish. I'm the one that's, receiving them from the airport. I'm the one that's clearing them with customs. I'm feeding them. I'm cleaning the tanks. I'm doing everything for you guys. So sometimes I can't always get to the email, and that's always the hardest part is dealing with the customer. And it's on my side is the hardest part because there's just not enough hours in the day.
But I have to say, you do a pretty great job. I enjoy always communicating with you, and I enjoy ordering from you. Sometimes I can't because I live on a fixed income, but when I do, I enjoy the service that you provide.
Well, thank you. I try. I try to handle it as I would want to be handled as a customer. Because, I've been in this hobby a long time as a hobbyist, ordering fish from all over the place. And I've had good and bad experience. I still order fish from other vendors because, I want to see what the fish looks like, if they're offering the right thing, how they pack things I want to see. And sometimes they have stuff that I can't get or, I want for myself. So I've done that. So I could judge how I'm going to pack a package or answer an email based on how a lot of the other companies are doing it. I don't like I get a lot of people that want to do the shopping cart, click on the fish, add it to cart, and they have an order. The problem is that if I'm opening 100 emails a day, I'm selling fish all day long. So you can add it to cart, and it may not actually be in stock because someone may have added it to cart right before you did, or have an order pending on it. So I like to be more hands-on. So if you eat like you, I know what fish you wanted today. They're sold. I sold them all. So
that's good though.
Yeah, I added Bacordi and Pierside to the stock list on Friday, which is not normal. Usually my stock list goes up on Sunday, but with the holiday, and I'm going to be traveling this week, so I uploaded early and I added those two species, and they sold out within minutes. So this morning when people logged in because they didn't bother checking it all weekend, I got like 50 emails for those two species, and they were long gone. So if they get bummed out and they get upset with me, but you can only keep so many, and
that's true. I'm glad that
viewer.
Go ahead. I'm glad that viewer brought up that comment because now we're going to talk about Tangled Up In Cichlids. So I know Jeff Rapp ran Tangled Up In Cichlids for quite a while, and he retired a couple of years ago. Why did you want to take over Tangled Up In Cichlids?
So I had known Jeff for, Tangled Up In Cichlids he founded in 1995. And I discovered Jeff maybe around 97, I think, somewhere around there, with the invention of the internet. The internet was kind of new then. So I found Jeff, placed a lot of orders with him, a couple other people that are well known in the hobby, and I that live locally in New York or Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Shipping was always expensive, even back then. It's way more expensive now, but shipping was expensive back then. So we would get in on group orders. And eventually we ordered enough from Jeff so much that he said, why don't you just come on out and pick up your order? So it turned out that Jeff didn't live very far from me. He only lived a few miles away. So as I would buy fish from him, I would breed a lot of fish over the years, and I would bring all the babies back to Jeff. So all the fry and the grow outs I'd bring to him. And we would just trade fish back and forth. So a couple of years ago, he gave me a little elbow when I was in his hatchery, saying he was going to be retiring soon, and if I knew of anybody that might be interested. So that was his nudge, saying, "Hey, buddy, you You want in? So 2019 he retired, and the offer came across, and I jumped on it. It took quite a while. It took almost a year to finalize the deal. It was a cash deal, so it took a long time, but we got it to happen. So, and Jeff's still on board. He works as a liaison. I talk to him almost daily. Less now than I did when I first relaunched. But he's still on. I talked to him today on the phone for about an hour about stuff. So, I have any questions, I reach out to him. He had such an array of people to reach out to for not only for stock, but like scientists, ichthyologists, biologists. So if I have questions about anything, I can shoot out an email because it's Tangled Up In Cichlids and get a response. I get Dr. Paul Loiselli comes here. The guy almost has a key to come in here. So
That's
who else has that? So, but it was because of taking over Tangled Up In Cichlids that I had access to all those people that no one else really has. So it was definitely a good move to make.
That's awesome. I'm glad to see it continue after he retired.
Yep, he's still very involved. He says he's retired, but that man is always fishing or collecting. He was in Colombia collecting fish that I have here in the shop now this summer. So he's still very involved. Just he has the fun part. He gets to help me pick out which fish I want to bring in. He gets to spend my money.
That's pretty cool. I purchased from him a couple times. I think the most memorable one was when I got a datinoid from him.
Which datinoid? Do you remember?
NTT.
Okay. I have one left of the Campbelli now.
Well, that was fast.
All right. Yep. Yeah. The fish move quick. So, people email me all the time and they want to buy a fish and we're going back and forth. They email me, hey, do you have this in stock? I reply back, yes, I do. And they go, how much? But I don't have an address. I don't know where I'm sending it to. I don't know how many I'm sending to them. So 5 or 6 emails later, they finally give me a name and address and the quantity they want, and then they're sold out. So the fish move. They go quick.
I'm glad you brought that up. So if anyone is going to use our 10% discount, make sure in your email you include your address and amount of fish that you want.
That's it. That's right. Yep.
Let's make Kevin's life easier for him.
Yeah. Well, it's not even easier for me. I hate telling a customer like, hey, you took too long to pull the trigger and it's gone now. I have customers globally. So if a guy in Asia wakes up now, they're awake now and he's placing an order and you're on the fence and you're thinking you're going to do it tomorrow morning, this guy already bought it. So you gotta jump on them when you see them, especially the rarer fish, or what people consider rare. I don't consider too many fish rare. It's all relative to a number of factors, but some fish have small spawns. So like some of the convict types, Nanolutea, everybody wants those, but they don't have giant spawns. So if I have 50 in a spawn, people buy them in groups of 5 or 6. So that's 10 orders. I fill 10 orders in a day. So if you want them, you got to jump on them.
That's very true. So what goes into selecting the actual fish that you sell?
Captive bred stuff is pretty easy. I get stock lists. I get dozens of stock lists from vendors, exporters, fish collectors, fish farms every day. And I can just, browse through them all and see, what has sold well. What if it didn't sell well, then I try not to bring it back in. What I haven't had in a long while. I'll browse other vendors. There's a couple. I have one very, very big vendor who's on the other side of the country, but I constantly have to look at like their stock list to see what they have. And if they have it, there might not be a point for me to bring it in. So that plays a factor in it. That's for captive bred stuff. For wild collected stuff, that's a little bit more of an ordeal. I have an import landing in a couple of hours that the collection started in October. And it was ready the week of, like right before Christmas, but then there were no flights available because COVID 3.0 shut down all the airports. So it's landing tomorrow or tonight, really. So, but as far as choosing which wild fish we go with, I throw darts, so it comes, you have to know what's in each watershed. So each collector collects, they have home base basically where they keep the fish, but they have a region where they have a zone where they're willing to go and collect fish out of. So knowing what fish are in each watershed or what might be in each watershed, I'll send them a list of, 30, 40, 50 species of fish. And, basically, hey, can you get these? And give them a quantity of, I want 50 of these, 100 of these, and give them a couple weeks and see what they come back with. And I don't always get what I want because everyone's gone fishing. I'm sure everyone that has an aquarium has probably gone actually fishing. So, and you get skunked. So it happens to the collectors too. They don't always manage to get what they want. And their season. So some stuff's in season when it's dry. Some stuff's easier to catch when it's raining. So that plays a factor in it as well.
That's good to know. One of my favorite species of wild caught fish are some of the South American Characins, like the Mylius and some approach the lotus and the Paku. I know that Jeff once brought in yellow belly Pakus.
Yeah. I haven't seen them in a while. I could probably request them, but I try to stay away. So that's a good one you brought up. So I stay away from some of them big monster fish like that. And I know my customers go, yeah, but you have peacock bass. Yeah, but I don't bring in like the arapimas and some of those giant catfish in the Paku because there's not too many people that can keep them. So, and they would sell slow. And if I have to import 50 of them, I'm going to sit on, I might sell 25 in 2 days, but I might sit on the other 25 for, a year, and they're outgrowing my tanks. They're eating all my food. So stuff like that, I try not to bring in. If I have a customer that I know is looking for something specific like that, and I'm having a collection done in a region, I've done it in the past where I'll reach out and say, hey, I could possibly can get this fish for you. I would need to bring in X amount of them. Would you want any? And I might do that. I did that with a pike cichlid last year to see if anybody wanted it. It was like a $2,000 fish, so I didn't want to buy them at $2,000. So I reached out to a couple of customers, see if they wanted them first, and that's sometimes I'll do that.
I'm glad you brought up pike cichlids because there's one species of pike that I've been spending years trying to find, but I can't find it. I remember it from my childhood. It's called the orange zingu pike. I can't find it anywhere.
They're around. I see them on. They're the problem. So some of the problems are quantity, or size. So a wild fish. Let's say they caught it and it's a 10-inch wild fish. That fish is going to take up one box to ship it all the way from Brazil to New Jersey. So that one box now is like $300. Just that one box to get here. So let's say the fish is cost me $50. That fish actually just cost $300 for the box and $50 for the fish. Then I got to clear with Fish and Wildlife. Then I got to clear with customs. So it adds up quick. So you're looking at a $500 fish before it even gets in my fish tanks. So, and that's breaking even. That's making no money on it. I still got to medicate it and feed it and all that nonsense. So that comes into play. Quantity. So a lot of times they don't always have enough quantity. And the other issue is you order fish and they come in and they're not the right species. So I've had that. That happens all the time. So that's where knowing the watershed comes into play.
That's very true. So basically, when you get new shipments in, what is your procedures?
As far as which, like when it's in house or like from the very beginning.
If you want to explain both, you can if you want.
Sure. So, like a perfect example is tonight. There's fish coming today. I'm not going to say what country they're coming from, but because I have stuff coming out of quarantine this week, and I have more stuff coming today, or tonight. But I have a giant order coming in. You submit your paperwork to United States Fish and Wildlife. They basically sit on it for a couple hours until it lands. I'm in New Jersey, so New Jersey has like this weird thing where, and it's Newark Airport. It's the greatest airport in the country. It's the worst airport. They're very slow there. So when an order lands there, they have a minimum time frame where you can go pick up your order, or at least attempt to pick it up. So domestic stuff, like if I have something sent to me from Florida, I might have to wait an hour or two to get it. Where international has a 3-hour minimum wait. So when that plane lands, you can't even show face at the airport for 3 hours. You have to wait. So when the 3 hours is up, it's usually right around the 3-hour mark is when I head to the airport, which is about an hour from my house. And when I get there, now they're digital. They used to be paper in Newark. You had to hand them paperwork. And they would get lost. They'd lose it. They couldn't read it. It was a nightmare. So now it's digital, so it's a little bit better. But it still takes a couple hours. And so you wait for Fish and Wildlife and U.S. Customs both to clear it. Occasionally, New Jersey Fish and Wildlife will show up, and they got to touch it. So all these agencies have to touch the boxes and look at them and inspect them. So it's a lot of waiting around, and they all got to get paid, obviously. So 4 or 5 hours would not be unrealistic. 6 hours from the time it lands before I could even touch the boxes is pretty much normal. So about 6 hours after they land, I could touch the boxes and try and start loading them in my truck. I'm an hour from the airport, so I bring them here, and from that point, it's a lot of time, hours. So tomorrow, when those fish land, it would not be unrealistic for me to be putting them away still at this time tomorrow. It would not be unrealistic. So as far as putting them away, I cut the boxes open. I take notes on what's in each box, how much space each one took up, because that all factors into how much they're going to cost. And I float the bags. All the bags get floated in here. And then I pick a tank, and I start at that tank, and I pull each fish. I cut the bags open. I measure every single fish that comes in here. So like tomorrow I have, a couple thousand fish coming in. Every single fish will get put on a ruler and measured. That's a little easier with, yeah. Well, you got to have the right size.
True.
A lot of people, you order a 2-inch fish and you get a 1-inch fish. That's a problem. Or you're expecting a 2-inch fish because the rest of your fish in your tank are 2 inches, and you get a 5-inch monster. That's a problem. So when the fish come in, I measure every single fish individually. And that's also when I check them, like make sure their eyes are intact, their fins are never intact, but we make sure their fins are at least they'll be healable. And make sure it's the right species, because you got to remember the collectors aren't scientists. They're doing this for a living. So I don't use like these big giant export companies. I have private people that collect for me. So that like the one that's coming tomorrow is 2 guys. One guy does all the computer work, and the other guy does, the actual collecting. And the guy that does the computer work actually does the packing as well, while the other guy's out in the field. But they're not scientists. So, I send them a picture of a fish, or I request a fish. They kind of know what it looks like. So that's what they'll catch, and they'll look at it. Yeah, that's what it is. And they'll send me 50 of them, and then they're the wrong fish. So that happens a lot. So I have to check that, and then I end up tanking the fish. I put them in the tanks. Wild fish from South America, I treat with a peat. I use peat moss. I buy in like 50 pound like barrel, like a haystack basically. And all those new fish that come from South America, they get treated with that for a couple of weeks. They get water changes every day, so they slowly get acclimated to my water. And by the time that stuff breaks down is no good, most of the fish are sold off anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And at the same time, they're all medicated. Every fish that comes in here gets medicated regardless. So it's prophylactic. I just want to make sure they're safe. When I ship them out, I know that when I shipped it, it was clean and healthy. So that's, one thing. That's one of the last steps I do. And then they get after. So the medication usually takes, it's like a 3 or 4 step process. They'll get multiple medications, usually 3 rounds of each one, a day in between. So they need 24 hours, a day off, 24 hours, a day off, and then 24 hours. And then during that time, they're actually off system. So I have an automatic water change. So during that time, they're being medicated. They get only one water change each time. After the medication's done, the water is constantly running. They're constantly getting flushed with fresh, clean water all day long. And this is a 10,000 gallon facility, so you can imagine how much water we use. And then like today, so I told you earlier, I had to clear out a 1,500 gallon area. So all the fish, most of the fish were sold that were in that section. So I kind of grouped them with other fish that were, there was mostly 1s and 2s of fish. So I grouped them with other fish that they're compatible with. And I cleared out 20 75 gallon tanks. So they're ready. So I drained them down. I squeeze out the filters, refill the tanks. And tomorrow when I load the fish, they're ready to go. So they all have fresh, clean water. All the stuff's, vacuumed off the bottom. Brand new.
That's awesome. So how often do you sell the fish that come? Like as soon as they come in, are they for sale, or there's like a period of quarantine?
Well, they go through quarantine, so they're medicated first. So the fish that are landing tomorrow's Tuesday. Those fish won't be ready. They're going to go through a whole week of 3 days of medication, and then observation for a couple of days. So realistically, those fish will be ready at the end of next week. So about a week or so. Domestic fish that I get from like private hobbyists that bring me fish, I'll medicate them, one time, because usually most of the people I buy from, I know them and I bought from them regularly. And Jeff bought from them regularly before me, so I know they're clean fish. So they get a round of medication, usually one round, and they're up for sale, within a day or two. Because I know they're good. Stuff that I get out of like Florida farms, those farms are nasty. They take a little while. They go through a lot of medicine. And when you're treating, 10,000 gallons of water, the medicine adds up quick.
That is true. What was I going to ask? I thought it was a good question.
Yeah.
So, I remember right now. So I know you mentioned certain species like Arapuma and stuff like that, but are there certain species of fish that you refuse to bring in?
Oh, that's one of them. That's definitely one of them. I don't see the point of bringing that fish in. I know there's more than one vendor. I know there's at least 2 or 3 that sell them pretty regularly. But that's what they specialize in. These big monster fish. I'm not going to mess with that's what they do. That's fine. And they probably have a customer base that can support that kind of fish. I have customers with tanks that are over 1,000 gallons, and it's a lot of customers have tanks that big. But even that is not big enough for something like that. So
true.
Yeah. But then I have customers that have ponds. They have and they live in the South where it's warm all the time. So it'll work in those type of situations. But even with me shipping all over the planet, it's just not enough for me to want to be able to bring them in and sell them. Those Paku as well. The big Paku. I've sold a couple different, like the Parish and Borkies, and I've sold those, but they don't get as big. So
that's true. Yeah, there's a lot of the term Paku is so widespread that it includes like Mylosoma and some of the Mylius.
Yeah, but the Paku that we all know as the Paku, the big one, that one I don't see any time. I don't think I'll ever bring that fish in unless it comes in by mistake, which could happen.
That's true. But you actually do have a species of Paku right now on your stock list that is really cool. It stays relatively small. I think it's called the sheephead Paku.
Yes, I do. I have one left. He's actually right next to me over there, but it's a bark tank. Yep, one left. Yep. Yeah, but again, that's not a big growing fish, so it's a manageable fish. So that's why I have that. Another one would be like a red-tailed cat. I like red-tailed cats. I would love to have one. And I don't know if I'm supposed to say it or not, but Jeff Rapps actually requested I get him one. And but so that might be a one-off order. I may have to order a few of them to provide him with one of them. So you might see them, but that's not something I normally would have on my list ever. Nothing wrong with the fish. Nothing wrong with it, but it's just not something I would bring in.
A good alternative to a red-tailed cat would be something like a vulture catfish. Those are my favorite catfish.
Yep. I haven't been able to get them in a while, so. Peru.
I actually have 3 of them.
Oh yeah, that's a cool fish. I had one here as a pet, and I put it in. I have like these Rubbermaid, like the pond things that they used to feed like livestock. So I had one of them here, and I had him in there, and he jumped out. So he got spooked somehow, and he was pretty big. He was a big guy. My son was bummed out because it was his favorite fish, but I can get more. Peru's having issues. That country got really beat up during COVID, and they weren't able to collect. They weren't able to ship. Now they can ship, but the freight is absolutely crazy coming out of that country, at least up to here, to New Jersey. You know, guys in Florida can probably get it for almost half because, you know, it's traveling half the distance, but they get them up here is a big bill.
That's true. There's actually a South American supplier up very close to me, and he has a hard time getting the fish that I want.
Yeah. Which fish?
It's called the slobbering catfish. It's like a like a Characins and a Tigrinus. Yep.
They're on there. They're available once in a while, but it's just been tough getting them up here. Like I said, the one that's coming today, the one that's coming tonight or tomorrow is it took since October to get it on a plane. So it's been difficult.
Yeah, he gave me a price yesterday. I just said I'll buy a Tigrinus for that price.
Yeah. The problem is the Tigrinus is going to be expensive too, probably even more. So
true.
Everything's gone up.
They're more delicate than the slobbering cats.
Yep. Briefly, there was a while where the collectors couldn't even collect fish. So they were, whatever the local fishermen were bringing them to their facilities is what they were able to sell. So these exporters send out like a weekly list of species available. But a lot of it's like the bread and butter fish that like your local fish store, Petco, PetSmart, like that kind of stuff would sell. So neon tetras, cardinal tetras, stuff that I don't bring in. So when I need stuff, I had to send in a special request. And when they weren't allowed to travel, the special requests were very difficult to get fish.
The sad thing is I had a slobbering cat, but it got killed by a pair of festivums. They nipped his whiskers off and stuff.
Yeah, they do that. Sometimes they go for the eyes, too.
It's weird because festivums are supposed to be peaceful.
They're nippy.
That's true.
I have a customer in Massachusetts who has a vulture cat that I believe has one eye because I think it was like a filament barb or something like that, like picked its eye out. It was something silly. Some silly fish picked its eye out. Something that catfish probably should have eaten, but it didn't.
That's true. So are there any spoilers on any fish coming in?
Well, I can tell you what's going to be available next week. Next week, I should have a bunch of stuff out of Colombia ready.
Perfect.
Oh yeah. So I won't tell you what's on that list yet. So, but there's gonna be a lot. So that they'll be ready to go probably. I'm traveling. I'm gonna be traveling this week. I'm gonna be about 1,000 miles away. So I may even put the stock list again early this week. But next week's stock list is gonna be pretty good. So.
That's awesome. Colombia has some awesome fish like the black wolffish.
I had wolffish, I guess a couple months ago, and I sold them all pretty quickly. But that's another one. They're cool, but the way I have to keep them here so they don't eat all the other fish is a little bit of a pain in the neck. So that's once in a while fish for me.
They are better than piranhas. They can have tank baits at least.
Piranhas aren't too bad. I had the Whipple piranha, the Vento, and I had denticulata piranhas not that long ago, and they weren't that bad. I had Plecos in with them. I had a couple cichlids in them. I had some convict type fish in with them, and they were fine. The denticulata piranhas, they were nipping each other. So every time I would feed them, they were getting such a frenzy that they would nip each other. So I'm shipping these fish out, and their fins are all bit. I'm like, sorry. But then the customers would get them and they would feed them and they'd say, "Oh yeah, I see what you mean." They were just tearing each other up.
That's cool.
Yeah, piranhas aren't too bad. Interestingly, though, when a lot of the wild fish, when they come in, they're never perfect, ever. They're always nipped. They're always missing fins. Like the fins are really bit up because they're in the wild. They're trying to survive. You got piranhas trying to eat them. You got people catching them with nets. So these fish come in pretty rough. But the piranhas do the biggest job at them. So a lot of the like the silver dollar type fish that you like, they come in all kinds of nipped up because they're schooling with piranhas.
True.
Yep. So they take a little while to get nursed back to health in here.
I think it was in September I purchased 4 semi-procha lotus and a couple of leporinis from you. They're all doing great.
Very good. How big are the procha lotus now?
If I pulled out a ruler, it'd probably be like 6-7 inches.
Okay, that's pretty quick. Yeah, they grew pretty quick.
Yeah, I think it's because I'm feeding them like a protein diet. I know they're supposed to be like algae eaters, but they're eating shrimp and stuff too.
They eat biofilm too. They'll pick on the glass, even though your tank looks clean, like no algae. They'll pick on the biofilm on the glass. And slow-moving fish. You gotta watch with slow-moving fish, like stingrays and Oscars and chocolate cichlids. Because those fish they like to lay down a lot of times. They'll come over there and they'll pick right at them and eat the slime coat right off of them. But they're a cool fish. Your fish actually came in as the wrong species.
The wrong species?
Yep, they weren't what I ordered. I ordered the ones with the yellow tail.
Oh, yeah, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. So, but they came in. They had the red tail. So different fish.
They're somewhat similar. They both get the same size.
Yeah, they look the same. Most people can't tell the difference of them when they're small. I had to keep them for a little while before I could even sell them to look for color because when they come in, they look orange, which could be yellow or it could be like red. So I had to let them settle in a little bit, and then I sold the red on them. But that's another thing. I have to check each fish individually and get that correct ID on it because if I sold you the wrong fish, you're gonna get me hate mail.
No, I know flagtails. I know that they could be hard to ID.
Yep.
But anyways,
so the fish ship has a different name a lot of times because, like I said, the collectors, they're just fishermen. They don't really know. So it takes you got to let them settle in and get the right ID on them. Sometimes I have people come here when it comes to cichlid species like the peacock bass. I know a couple guys that are like experts on them, and I've had a guy come up here on a particular species. I had him come up here just to ID a fish so I can market it because it was supposed to be a fish that's never been exported out of Brazil before. And I ordered like 400 of them so I could have them all. And they ended up it was a big bill. It was a big bill. And I bought all of them so no other vendors can get them. I think I left like 1 or 2 boxes available to anybody else. And but they came in and they were not the right species. So they were close, but they were not the right ones. So that happens. That's a big one. And yours were the wrong ones. They came in and they were supposed to be something else.
That's okay, though. I love them. They're a cool fish.
Yeah, they are cool. Definitely a cool fish. That's a staple. Whenever I order from down there, I try to bring them in. They sell very well. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when I posted my first video of them on YouTube, I got ridiculed because there's a myth out there that there should only be 1 per tank, but I've been keeping them in schools for a long time.
It's actually a schooling fish. They are found in groups. There's a friend of mine up in Canada who is an importer, exporter as well. He's got a YouTube page with a lot of wild videos on there, and he shows them, and they're in groups. I knew they came in groups. They were found in groups, but they are in a small tank. They may be nippy, but they get along. I never have a problem with them. I typically, 1 or I'll recommend 5.
Yeah, definitely odd numbers are better with fish like that.
Yep. But then you got to have a tank for them because they get pretty big.
True. I have a 210 coming for them.
Perfect. That'll work.
All right, so I'm gonna promote our discount that we have going on from today until Monday, January 10th. Is there anything you want to mention about that?
Yeah, so 10% off the total of fish. So it doesn't count the packing or shipping, but the total of fish. So the more fish you buy, the bigger that discount is. So if you're buying like one $10 fish, 10% doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're ordering a bunch of fish that and your bill gets, $200-300, the discount starts to add up pretty good. So you end up with, at $250, and you're buying fish that are, a couple of bucks a piece, you might get 2 or 3 for free at that point. I lose money, but it's a good discount. It'll work. They have to put Alex Live in the subject line, though. If you don't put Alex Live in the subject, it's going to go to the regular email, and it's not going to get flagged. So my quote will go out as a regular quote. So I had the email set up so that way when Alex Live is in the subject line, it goes to a separate folder. So I'll know that is specifically from this video. Any other ones going to go to the regular inbox. And give me your name, address, and phone number when you do the order.
Perfect. I'm glad you mentioned that because that was just about what I was about to say.
Yeah. It could save a whole day of you waiting for your fish. Because like today, I couldn't answer any emails because I was busy getting ready for this import. And then tomorrow, I don't think I'm going to answer any emails again because I'll be putting away, 1,000 fish. So you got to put the subject in there. You got to put it in there. Give me your name and address, phone number, the quantity you want. And I'll send you one email with the whole quote on it one time.
So I have the email on the screen. It's salestuic@gmail.com.
It's actually sales.tuic. You got to put a dot in there.
Perfect. That's what I was going to ask you.
Yep.
So make sure it's sales.tuic@gmail.com.
Correct. Sales.tuic@gmail. And then I'll be the one answering the email. I'm the one sending you the quote out. And the more information you give me up right away, the faster we can get the transaction done. And typically the fish can ship, within not within 24 hours, but they can ship, after 24 hours. I feed them pretty light. Since I have to ship so many fish every day, I feed them very lightly. So if I don't feed them for one whole day, they're usually pretty good. I know some people like to not feed them for 3 or 4 days. But then the fish don't travel. I don't find the fish travel well. They're very skinny. They're hard to acclimate. And I get hate mail. So you get a fish that hasn't eaten in usually 1 or 2 days.
So there's one last thing I want to talk about. A very good friend of mine and one of my loyal viewers has decided that he's going to donate what he wants to call a mystery box for me, for my aquarium, which is basically $150 worth of fish. So I'm going to let you choose the fish.
But boy.
South American species.
Okay. Someone donated that, huh? That's very, very grateful.
Very awesome.
Nice. Very generous.
I was very humbled and appreciative when he told me that.
Yeah, I find that a lot of people in this hobby are they're cool people. Everyone's been cool, so that's cool that somebody did that for you. Yeah, we'll come up with something. I don't know if it'll be a mystery because I got to kind of know what else you have, but we'll come up with something.
You want me to tell you now, or you want me just to email you my stock list?
If you know what you want now.
Sure, I'll tell you what I have. Let's see, I've got like four Severums, a couple chocolates, the Vulture Cats, and a gold wolffish in that tank.
What was the last one?
A gold wolffish.
Gold wolffish.
That's
right.
It's like it's in the same family as the red, but it gets a lot larger.
Yep. All right, so we'll think of something.
Well,
I'm thinking
the flagtails and leporinus are in there too.
They're in there too, because I was thinking you got a bunch of cichlids in there. Maybe some characins would work. Maybe something different, something to hang out with those flagtails. Maybe. something that the Vulture Cat can't eat. And
Oh
the
yeah,
old fish.
they've actually haven't bothered anybody. There's actually like a 2-inch rhino pleco when you're that they haven't attacked.
Yeah, they probably tried and it didn't work out, so they gave up. You know, once this pleco, I see it a lot. They go to pick at them and they get a feel for the spikes on them and nope.
I actually
leave
didn't
them
want the
alone.
pleco. My friend gave it to me. He's like, I don't want them anymore.
I get a lot of that. I got a lot of fish in here that I've had fish show up here at my door. I don't know where they came from. It was a gourami and a ballast shark, a giant ballast shark, biggest one I've ever seen. Fish need
Yeah, my
homes.
friend does that to me a lot. He brought me like a 2-foot arowana once. I just dropped it off at the fish store.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, somehow I get what I call boomerang fish. A lot of fish that I sell, they always end up making their way back here somehow. You know, they get too big or they want to try something different. So yeah, but for sure, that's cool. We'll get you a box. Let's wait till the weather warms up a little bit, but we'll get you something.
Absolutely. I was thinking maybe we'll wait till my 210 comes in.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
So maybe like
Yep,
February sometime.
And what, you're gonna do a live box opening?
Yeah, we could do a live unboxing. That would be great.
Cool. I'm gonna knock on wood right now because I haven't had too many fish show up dead. But it'll be the one that somebody does live that ends up being a disaster. So.
No, I don't think so. There's
No.
only been like one online order I had fish that arrived dead, but it was coming from overseas, so that's expected.
Hey, it happens. You know, I cap myself at 10 boxes a day. There's just not enough time to answer emails in the morning, tend to the fish here, and then pack the boxes. So that's my cap. There's not enough time in a day to do it. I'd have to start packing fish at 7 a.m. to ship them at 7 p.m. And that's just too long. So by the time you get them, the fish are in the box for like 48 hours. So it's not. It happens. But for 2021, I actually made a post on Monster Fish Keepers. Can I say that on here?
Yeah, that's fine.
And
I'm a
we were
member
talking.
there.
Okay, we were talking about someone was asking about that, and in 2021 we had no lost boxes, so everything that I shipped made it to where it had to go. Some of them were late, but they got to where they had to go, and I can count on one hand how many boxes had dead fish in them. One of those boxes actually went to Jeff Rapps. It was late and it was in the winter. It was early, like this time early last year, and they didn't do too well. So of all people, right? Jeff Rapps gets the fish that are dead.
I know that sucks.
Yeah.
That's where I buy from places like you now. I used to import from South America because I had a friend that did it, and I ended up losing a lot of money. So now I just buy from you. Saves me the headache.
Yeah, that's it. Let me have the headache. I get it. It is a headache, but it's fun. It's a good job. There's definitely worse jobs. So, and I'm busy. It's a full-time gig. You know, I'm not working out of my basement or my 2-car garage. I have a full giant, warehouse facility. It's a full-time job.
That's true. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
Whatever you want.
Trying to think. So on your stock list right now, what would you recommend that people should consider buying?
Let me look. I don't even know what's on it. Let me look. Hold on. Hold on. Let me take a look.
That noise is one of them. For the people
that noise is a good one. That's a rare one, so people should jump on that. I would say the Pure Sign Bacordi, but they sold out already. Sorry, guys.
You don't have any peacock bass left, do you?
Nope, sold all of them too. Yep. I had the Pinema. They're gone now. I had a couple hundred of them. I had a lot of those. Let's see. People are hating on them because they're so expensive, but the Cichlids, that's a good one. I only have like 4 or 5 left. It's expensive fish, but this is the only place you're going to get them, and especially at that size.
The bumblebee Oscars too.
The bumblebee Oscars, yep.
I consider them a long time.
I have quite a few of them left, so those are a good one. Oh, yeah, there they are on my list. Oh, the Cardinale, the Cardinale from Uruguay. They're F1s. I don't know of anybody else in the country that has them, so that's a good one to jump on. Some of the geophag. I'm looking at my list. That's why I'm looking down. I'm trying to read it.
You're good. I can't wait to
some of the geophagus.
The Sabrina.
People that like earth eaters. We have some. What do we have? Like the geophagus argostictus. That's not a common one. Gorgeous fish. People are afraid of that one. They think it needs like special water conditions, but it does well here. It'll do well anywhere. Geophagus niambi, Altamira. Those are all fish that you're not going to find anywhere else but here. And once they're gone, they're gone. The Altamira specifically haven't been in the hobby in 15, maybe 20 years. So that's a good one to grab. It's a undescribed geo. It's similar to the Altafrons. It's out of a very specific region of the Rio Xingu. They don't go there to collect very often. It's not an area that's traveled. So that's a good one. Oh, what else do we have? Large angelfish. I have the red shoulder angels. They're pretty big.
Nice. Those are wild caught, right?
They're not wild. They're tank bred, but that's a fish you don't see very often, and especially at the size I have. So the 4-inch fish. So you see that on my list says 3.5 to 4 inch. That's the body size. They're like the size of the palm of my hand. That's not counting like the fins. So that's a big fish. What else? Some of the catfish. I don't know. There's so much that I have over 100 fish on the stock list. I have 155, I think, in-house right now. Wow. And that's individual species. And then by when this plane lands, I'm going to have another 30 or 40 species. So there's a lot of fish in here.
I remember a couple.
I don't have to pick what you guys put in your tanks. I just offer it to you.
That's true. So you guys have to look at a stock list. They can't choose for you.
No. I can help you out. You tell me what you like. What you just did. You told me what you had. We can go like kind of what might work in there. But they asked me, hey, I have a 200-gallon tank. What can I put in here? You could put anything in there.
I remember a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month ago, we talked about the Saint Perca. Those are my favorite geophagus.
I have an undescribed Satana Perca now. There's only a couple of them left, but that's a cool fish. They do well. So a lot of people are afraid of Satana Perca because they need soft water. This fish is from a whitewater river, a little bit higher pH, just like the angelfish. So they do well. They do well here. And I don't remember what my hardness level is here because I don't test it really. But my pH is 7.4 in here, and my TDS is pretty high. So, and they do all right. They do pretty well here.
Nice. I like the Leacousticus. Those are my favorite.
You like those?
I think that's how you pronounce it. You're better at pronouncing it than I am.
Some of them I can't. Some of them I can't pronounce because everyone says it differently. So I'll ask Jeff Rapps or I'll ask Dr. Loisel, what's the right way to say that? And they'll both say it differently. So everyone's got their own way, but I mean, there is a right way to say it, but everyone's got different names. That species you're talking about, I have not seen in a while. They're around the hobby. They're being distributed now by a couple of people, but I don't think they're the right fish. I don't think so because of where they come from. They're not collecting the area where they're from, so it's highly unlikely that it's the right fish. But you never know. That's something I deal with a lot. People are telling me this guy has this fish, that guy has that fish. other vendors, and not just in the country, outside of the country. And I do this for a living, and I deal with these vendors and collectors and exporters every single day. So I know where they are collecting, where they're not collecting usually. So there are regions where there's fish not coming in from, but yeah, I see them on stock lists from people. So they're likely just a bad ID.
Shout out to my friend Steve's Aquatics who's tuning in. He's a big
Nice.
earth eater guy. He has a tank of Severums and Geophagus. And he wants to know, can you mix different kinds of Geophagus species in a large aquarium? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Do it all the time. When I bring them in here, I keep them separated because I need to know which ones are which, especially when they're small, because when they're small, they all look alike. But when they're bigger, absolutely. And that makes for a gorgeous tank. And it's I have so many Geophagus on the stock list, and there's a reason why. Because people love mixing them all together. It just makes for a really nice tank. They get along with almost everything. So
I've never kept the threadfin ones, though, the Hecalize.
Those are nice fish. They take a little while to color up, but when they do, they're gorgeous. I have some of them, by the way.
Yeah, you do. I've seen them on your stock list. I was thinking about getting some of them in the mystery box.
All right.
But I don't know if he wants me to pick or I don't know his rules yet.
Well, his rules are my rules.
His rules.
So you could have him email me, and him and I can discuss it.
Sure, that's
really get a mystery box.
Sure.
No, we'll keep it. I'll talk to you obviously about that first, so that way we get what's going to be compatible with your stuff.
Sounds good.
I can send you some umbi. The umbi, they won't eat any of your fish. No, it'll be fine.
I could make room for an umbi, but I'm not really a fan of the one fish per tank.
Yeah, that's a tough one to keep. Yep.
So, do Geophagus need wood and sand?
They don't need wood, but I would say, I keep everything here. I have no substrate in any of the tanks, but again, I'm an import-export facility, so they come in and they go out. But I would definitely say sand is a must. That's what they do. They're earth eaters. They dig in the sand. That's the only way they're really going to feel super comfortable. That's what they're going to need to color up. If you want them to spawn, they need that digging motion. So yeah, I would say is a must. Yeah. I know the bare bottom tank guys are going to hate me, but that's what the fish does. That's in the name. They're earth eaters. That's what they do. So give them some sand, let them pick around. And it's cool to watch them do it.
Very true. They look like a diamond goby from saltwater doing that.
Yeah. The tanks with Satanoperca, they like digging in all the detritus in the bottom of the tank. So I'll leave some of that in the tank for them, because I have Plecos in there and they'll eat the wood, and there's all the wood shavings everywhere. And like I said early, I use peat moss in the tanks. They're in bags, but they leach out. So they put a layer of peat on the bottom, and you see them digging in there right in my tanks all the time. That's what they do. That's what they need to feel comfortable.
Very true. Well, I want to thank you for a great interview tonight. I had a blast.
No problem, man. Good stuff.
I would like to
you
have
got me.
you on again.
I'm doing a talk. I'm traveling, and I'm going to be doing a guest talk somewhere. So this is prep for that, actually. So,
that's
but
awesome.
I didn't know. You asked before they did. So, and I said yes to you first. So it just works out that it's the same week. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. They have a different topic. It'll touch on some of the stuff we talked about, but different topic. So, but this was good.
Yeah, I was looking for someone big in the aquarium hobby to start 2022, and you were on the top of the list.
Well, thank you. I don't consider myself very big, but I have competitors that I know that that are retail stores that I would consider a big store. So
I asked Jeff Raft a couple of years ago, but he said it was too busy to do it.
Yeah, no, he's a busy guy. He's retired, and I think he's more busy now than he was then.
I used to love talking to him about flagtails and silver dollars and stuff.
Yeah, he loves all those things. He likes silver shiny fish.
Next
Yep.
time you come to Florida, we'll have to meet up and have lunch and go to the fish stores around here.
Absolutely. You know what I actually want to do in Florida? I want to go catch cichlids, not for keeping, but I want to go fishing in the States to catch cichlids, just to do it.
I'm in Palm Beach County, and cichlid peacock bass are really abundant down here.
See, that's what I want to go do. I want to go do that. Yep.
And there's some bullseye snakehead and the red line snakeheads.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, we have, unfortunately, we have snakehead up here in Jersey, but they're hard to catch.
About an hour north of me, I think it was in November, there were a couple of arapuma that were washed up before were dead.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that made like the media go crazy around here.
Oh man. Yeah, Florida's got everything.
They even called Jeremy Wade for that.
Florida can. Yeah, you could. He would know how to do it. Yeah, Florida's got everything. Everything there can kill you too. So you got to watch for your step.
That's true.
Yep.
So we got one more question from Steve, and
Okay.
he wants to know: are the geos mouth brooders or egg layers?
Well, they're all egg layers because that's where that's where the fry come from. But some will hold the eggs in their mouth, and some will hatch outside, like on a rock or the glass. So it depends on the geo. I have a new species of geo in here from Rio Sucio in Colombia, and they just spawned a few weeks ago, and they're mouth brooders I found. So, which just means they raise the fry in their mouth. But some fish are, some fish aren't. Depends on the geo.
That was a great question.
Some are delayed. They'll rear the fry outside, like next to the rock, but then they'll bring them in their mouth later on. So depends on the geo.
Very well said. Well, I want to thank you for the fun interview tonight.
No problem. You're welcome.
Would you be interested in doing another one in a few months or so?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. I'll be glad to have you on, and I'll be able to purchase from you then.
Cool. You know what? We could do it after you get your next box and you do the opening. Maybe we could do the opening at the same while we're alive.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
So then if something went wrong, you could yell at me right away.
No, I would never yell at you. You'll kick my ass.
Listen, I have tough shoulders. I can handle it. It's okay. My customers can yell at me. It's okay. If I mess up, it's my fault. Now, if UPS loses it for 3 days and it shows up frozen solid, that's not my fault. Don't yell at me. But no, that's a good. We could do something like that maybe.
I like
you
that.
You could open
idea.
it live with me.
Yeah, it's a good idea. So we'll probably have to do it like in the morning.
Yeah.
We can make it work. We'll talk about it in the email.
Yeah, we can make it work. Yep.
So do you have a mailing list, Steve wants to know?
I do not have a mailing list. It's something I've considered, but so how do I explain this? So I have such a giant customer base. So I ship to Japan, China, all over the place. Keeping track of what's in stock on time. Like I've thought about maybe emailing my stock list early to like VIP customers, but how do I figure out who's a VIP customer? Well, one person, yeah, one person might spend $250 because that's a lot of money to them. But I have another customer who bought 13 of my $450 fish, so that's he's a VIP too, but he does stuff like that all the time. So. I don't know. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Say, oh, you're not, what's the threshold? You got to spend $1,000, $500. The guy spent $8,000. So, where do I draw the line? So there's that. And then what's the point of me sending the stock list updating the stock list if there's a mailing list? And I would never put something on a mailing list like coming soon, because anything can happen. Like I have all these fish landing tonight, and I think it's 40 species of fish. but all 40 may not survive the trip. Some of them may be wrong. So if I say, hey, these are coming out, stay tuned, and they're not on the list or they're wrong, then I'm a jerk. So I've thought about it, but there's a lot of parameters I would have to do to do that. My exporters do it. They send out mailing lists every week, and when I look at some of the lists on some of these exporters, there's like 500 people, 1,000 people on their list. So it would be tough. But whoever asked that, if they want to come and figure out how to do that, they can come on up and try.
But
and the amount of emails I get every day, I get so many emails every single day that don't pan out, or they're like I said earlier, they're tire kickers. So am I going to send them a mailing list? It's so many people.
Very true. So your best bet would be to check tangledupincichlids.com every Sunday night for a new stock list.
Yep. Sunday night or Monday morning at the very latest. If I don't post it on Sunday, people are texting me, because there are people that have my personal number. They're texting me or emailing me. What happened? I'm like, I do have a wife and kids and, stuff to do. So sometimes I don't get it up there, but almost always it's on Sunday night.
All right, so before we go, I want to remind everybody that you could purchase some fish this week until Monday, January 10th. 10% off your fish purchase. Just the fish, right?
The total of fish. So if you buy 10 fish, the total of those 10 fish, you get 10% off that total. Yep.
So you just got to use the email header, Alex Live, to get your discount, and make sure you include your name, your address, and what else was it? Phone number.
Phone number, yeah. You need the phone number. UPS needs your phone number.
That's true. I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot about that.
I don't need the phone number. I don't need it because I'm never going to call you, but unless there's a problem. But UPS, if the package is late or their label's they can't read it, they'll call the number and say, hey, where are you? So the phone number is important.
And they actually use your phone number to look it up in case your order goes missing somewhere.
Correct. Yep. A lot of people leave it out. So a lot of boxes go out with my phone number on it because they didn't give me a phone number.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great night, and I look forward to having you on again.
You are welcome. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and hope you get a lot of sales this week.
Thank you very much.
You know you're going to be out of state.
I'll let you know.
Have fun and kick ass with your speech this week.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
You do a great job.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this special episode of Aqua Alex Live. It's been a pleasure. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Legendary Alex Cardinale. If you are a new viewer, I appreciate that. And again, you can place your orders by email, sales.tuic.gmail.com. And Kevin will reply to your emails. Have a great day, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in.